It's the all-time best Elton John songs from the 70s. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Book. These are the results of a poll that we had 2 years ago, even before the farewell tour was announced. So we had this poll, we got it out there, we got 16,000 votes. Then I looked at the results and I thought, this must be an anomaly. There's something a little off about this. So twice after that time, we put this poll back, this time on our website, rockhistorymusic.com, and just had folks send in their top 20s. The results at that point were not that different. We thought, well, let's release it. Now, before I go on, and we're going to do this really quickly because it's 40 songs, we have to get to it. If these don't reflect your choices, we're not here to ruin your day. It's just the results of a poll. They wouldn't have been my top 40, but after around 20,000 votes in the long run, this is what we came up with. We're thinking of doing the top 80 songs and then the top overall Elton John songs because, in the next 3 years, we're going to be thinking of Elton John an awful lot. He's my all-time favorite artist. And here we go. Elton John's top 40 songs from the 70s. Number 40, I Need You to Turn To. Elton's vocals displays a certain vulnerability on a very quiet, beautiful ballad about being able to depend on another for comfort and protection. Number 39, Island Girl. AM and FM ate up this Caribbean-flavored hit back in the day with sort of wink-in-the-eye goofy lyrics and a well-crafted musical hook. And it's still being played on the radio 40 years later. Number 38, Where To Now, St. Peter. You can almost smell the gunpowder listening to this song. It's a fascinating tale of death on the battlefield, with Caleb Quaye on guitar and Elton's hypnotic piano, creating just the right atmosphere of eeriness and mystery. Number 37, The Greatest Discovery. The ballad nicely builds to a euphoric climax and an emotional payoff, which of course Elton is famous for. 36, Elderberry Wine. Elton sings about black-eyed peas and southern women, accompanied by his own chugging piano and funky horn arrangements. Number 35, Take Me to the Pilot. Another example of Elton successfully fusing driving rock with a knock-you-on-your-butt string arrangement. To this day, no one knows who exactly Pilot actually is, but the song's so good nobody seems to care. Ticking. There were not exactly a lot of songs in the 70s about a guy going postal, with very disturbing results. Number 33, Honky Cat. Honky Chateau kicks off with Elton at his funkiest and most playful. This infectious up-tempo track features honky-tonk piano, jazzy horn arrangements, and of course, a man that we all know. If you know Elton John, you know guitarist Davy Johnston. 32, Come Down in Time. The song almost sounds like a quiet jazz cabaret tune and was most notably covered by Sting, a tribute to the strength and quality of Elton John and his songwriting partner, Bernie Taupin. Number 31, We All Fall in Love Sometimes. It's interesting that this list would include a great quality of album tracks as well as singles. This from the autobiographical album, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. The ballad reveals Elton and Bernie's deep affection and dedication to each other. 30, 60 Years On. This brooding ballad helped solidify Elton John's image as the pensive singer-songwriter in the 70s. Paul Buckmaster, who we lost not that long ago, did what he's famous for, bringing Elton John's songs to the next level with an extra layer of emotion. Number 29, Blues for Baby and Me. Easily a song that could have been a hit single. It sounds like a hit. It's a tale of two young lovers on the run. Bernie's lyrics, vivid as always, and Elton steps right into the characters, with help again from Paul Buckmaster. Number 28, Pinball Wizard. From the soundtrack to Tommy by The Who, Elton was in this movie perched high on top giant platform shoes, which to him was fitting in the 70s. Covering The Who is kind of like covering Elton John songs. Hard to do them justice, but it was another job well done for Elton John. 27, Skyline Pigeon. It was played on the radio back in England in 1968. It was really the public's first major, even though he had some songs on the radio before this, chance to hear Elton John on a wider scale. For new Elton John fans going back and hearing the harpsichord and organ, it's quite memorable with its hymn-like quality. 26, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. It was never on an album. It was a 1974 single covering, of course, the Beatles. It's Elton John and John Lennon hanging out in the studio making some fun together. The same happened on a Lennon album when Elton John helped out on Whatever Gets You Through the Night. Number 25. Sorry seems to be the hardest word. A ballad that's soaked in regret, boasting the line, "What am I gonna do when lightning strikes me?" Sorry typifies that melancholy tone that was one of the driving forces, well, one of many on the album Blue Moves. Number 24, I Feel Like a Bullet in the Gun of Robert Ford. A slow, mournful song about the destruction of Bernie's marriage to Maxine, who was the inspiration for another big song on this chart, Tiny Dancer. Number 23, Burn Down the Mission. Another sprawling epic that conjures up vivid images of America before the turn of the century. Fans love the rollicking piano break in the middle and in the end of this song. Number 22, Candle in the Wind. Bernie's fascination with the American icon, whose life ended tragically, inspired this moody ballad. On this one, it's more of an understated version of Elton John's vocals, but just as powerful and moody. Of course, he redid this song after the death of Princess Diana. Number 21, The Bitch Is Back. The song is actually a tribute to Elton John's notorious temper tantrums. After a few of the singer's more memorable meltdowns, there would be whispers, "Oh, the bitch is back." 20, Crocodile Rock. It's a nostalgic tribute to the 50s and early 60s rock and roll, featuring a gorgeous falsetto from Elton John that would do Frankie Valli proud. It's a tune that would bring to mind sock hops, milkshakes, hot rods, and jukeboxes. 19, Tonight. Another somber and moving ballad about two lovers, a torment over a shattered relationship. The song begins with a lush orchestral introduction, followed by Elton's tear-in-the-voice vocal. Number 18, Indian Sunset. This poignant story about the life of one brave American Indian warrior really has a cinematic quality with a complex melody and a striking orchestral arrangement from Paul Buckmaster. It's a highly underrated Elton John song, but judging from what the fans said, that was a pretty high ranking. 17, Benny and the Jets. Benny, Elton croons as he thumbs the piano. It's a satirical swipe of the music business, and as we all know by now, it was not really live. 16, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. It was a tribute to rowdy British pubs and patrons with bad attitudes. An explosive rocker in concert that's been covered by a lot of folks. Number 15, Madman Across the Water. What is it like to live in a mental institution? Here's your answer. The tune features a more sympathetic Elton John vocal. Intense. Great orchestration, ominous guitar riffs, and pounding drums adds to the madness of the song. 14, Harmony, a melodic gem. Harmony gently tugs at the heart. It's so infectious and beautiful, it could have easily been a hit. Featuring the background vocals, and let's remember this happened often with Elton John songs, of guitarist Davy Johnston, bassist Dee Murray, may he rest in peace, and drummer Nigel Olsson. 13, High Flying Bird. Another song that could have easily been a big Elton John hit. The problem was they always had to get to the next album. There was only room for 2-3 hit singles. And by then, like I said, there was a new album and new singles to push. One of several songs Elton John and Bernie Taupin wrote about loss. Number 12, Daniel. It's an emotional, moving song that introduces us to Daniel, a weary Vietnam vet who longs for the quiet solace only found at home after the war. 11, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. It opens up the autobiographical album about how Elton John and Bernie Taupin met and found their footing in the music business. Number 10, Philadelphia Freedom. Not from an album just released as a single in 75. Another R&B influenced song that was sort of a tip of the hat to tennis great Billie Jean King. 9, Mona Lisa and Mad Hatters. Another example of Elton John album tracks that may not have been hits, but stand out as favorite Elton John songs. With a haunting melody, straightforward vocals, Elton pays homage to the light and darkness found in New York City. Number 8, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Some say arguably his best vocal performance. It's about the insensitivity of the music business and a longing for a more simple life. But one has to ask, can you have both? Number 7, Your Song. This is the song that brought Elton John on the pop music map. It's a beautiful love letter and a tune that's been covered by Rod Stewart, Billy Paul, Andy Williams, among others. 6, Someone Saved My Life Tonight. Obviously, because of the subject matter, this is easily one of Elton John's most emotional singles. The lyrics focus on Elton's decision to pursue music over married life. Number 5, Leave On. the story of Alvin Tostig and his son, Levon. There's a crackling urgency in the way that Elton John sings on this one. It's very dramatic, and Paul Buckmaster's string arrangements, again, takes the song to another level. Elton has said in the past the song is about a guy who's bored working for his family, while Toppin told Rolling Stone magazine in 2013 that it's not about anything, adding it was simply free-form writing. Number 4, Tiny Dancer. 2 in a row from Madman Across the Water, a gorgeous tribute to Bernie's girlfriend at the time and then wife, Maxine. It was also played on many tours, including the Farewell Yellow Brick Road Tour. Number 3, Rocketman. Often compared to David Bowie's Space Oddity from 1969, which was, by the way, also produced by Gus Dudgeon. But let's remember, space was a big subject, with Apollo 12 to 16 happening between 1969 and 72, including Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin Jr. touching down on the moon on Apollo 11 on July 20th, 1969, and Armstrong being the first man to step on the moon. Number 2, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Like Someone Saved My Life Tonight, this was a tip of the hat to the Beach Boys harmonies, and included Carl Wilson and Bruce Johnston of the band on background vocals. Toni Tennille was also on there, and she would go on to have the #1 song of the following year, 1975, Captain and Tennille and Love Will Keep Us Together. Also on BG vocals, Billy Hinchy, a touring and studio musician with the Beach Boys. He was also famous for Dino, Desi, and Billy. Toppin also said they wanted a big sound, kind of like Phil Spector did on You've Lost That Lovin' Feeling. And here's the biggest surprise of this countdown at number 1. Some say Elton John at his proggiest. Some say it's his Stairway to Heaven. Never a hit, but always a favorite, and really one of the most curious 1-2 punches of Elton John's career. Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding from 1973, the 2 tunes that open up Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, arguably his best album. After a downright ominous instrumental intro, which has become a staple, Funeral flows right into Love Lies Bleeding, which features Davy Johnston's screaming electric guitars and Elton John's pedal-to-the-metal vocals and piano. The fact that these 2 songs became Elton John's #1 song after over 20,000 votes says something. When we originally had the first vote and got a little over 16,000 votes, and then had it posted on our website, Rock History Music, twice. Remember, this is 2 years old. The last vote we had was about 6 months ago. One thing never changed. The orders changed a little bit, but right from the beginning, I gotta tell you, Funeral for a Friend and Love Lies Bleeding was always #1. When the poll started 2 years ago, it was #1. When we ended that first poll, it was still there. And then we asked folks to email us their top 10 and top 20s. It still was #1. We did put the combination together as one song because one flows into the other. Thank you for listening, and remember, we're not here to piss anyone off. This is just a poll we had. This is not the poll that I would have come up with, but it's just a poll. Please give us your top 10. We're also doing Elton John's albums one by one. We're starting with Empty Sky, and we're going right to Victim of Love in the late 70s. And if you want to be a guest on those videos, because we're actually inviting Elton John fans to come on and talk about specific albums and specific songs. You, the fan, you never get your due. Elton John's been very respectful to his fans, but we'd like to put you on camera. You want to talk about your favorite tracks? Contact me via our Facebook group. Look for Rock History Music and contact me there, and we'll put you on. Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Book.